Welcome back to Big Riff Energy, episode 69, dude. It is Tuesday, June 18th, and today's a fun one. I'm going to do a mini review of the Necrot Lifeless Birth tour. Just saw it in Austin. Spoke with those dudes. It was a lot of fun. Check that episode out if you haven't. Yeah, it was Necrot, Bat, Street Tombs. Everyone killed it. I'm also going to review or discuss the new Bat album, Under the Crooked Claw. Just came out on Nuclear Blast. Definitely one of my favorite albums of the year so far. And then I'm going to hit some emails. I'm going to announce our big contest winner. You're going to win a bunch of Spirit Adrift albums and a bunch of cool albums that came out last year and this year. So stick around to see if you won that contest. Thanks to everybody who entered. Very blown away by the reception there. Thanks for your kind words. Everybody wrote cool stuff. Appreciate it. And I'll be answering some of your questions there as well. And one of those questions is going to take us on our first trip into
the Vault of Insane Stories.
So that'll be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that one. So yeah, the Lifeless Birth tour, it's going on right now. I went out and saw it at the Mohawk in Austin. I had never heard Street Tombs, man. And it's funny, a lot of people have emailed me telling me to check out Street Tombs. That's one of the most recommended bands on this podcast, especially like in the last month or so. Also, it is a small world because I didn't realize that I sort of know those guys, or were at least like in the same circle. I had no idea it was dudes from Superstition. Their bass player, Galen, who I finally got to meet in person, plays for Wolves in the Throne Room. He's actually reached out to me about this podcast and said nice things about it. So just a small, small world, man. They even had Renata from Mammoth Race with them on tour. So I got to speak with her a little bit. So kind of walk down memory lane there. Very cool experience. Reconnecting with her after like over a decade, and then meeting these guys that, you know, we run in the same circles, and it's just cool. It's a small world. You know, all these little different scenes, these contingencies around the world are usually run by just like a small handful of people. Arkansas, that scene is pretty much a small handful of people. New Orleans, you know, Arizona was the same way. And so I sort of connected with the New Mexico real underground metal contingency at the show. And of course, Sonny from Necrot is originally from there. So, man, just a small world. But, yo, Street Tombs is really, really, really good. Really good. I think their last record is out of press right now, and I wanted to pick it up, but I have not been able to find it. But, dude, I told them after the set, I'm like, man, you guys managed to figure out how to write a whole set worth of material where every part of every song is just fucking awesome. Like, why doesn't every band do that? I would say it's for fans of like old school death metal, but it almost has like a Discharge kind of vibe to it. Just very straightforward, stripped down. The band name is pretty apt description of the approach. It's just like gnarly, badass death metal riffs that are interesting but not overly technical, and like punk parts that are like a little more intricate and riffy than most hardcore punk, you know, but a little more busy on the left hand than like a Discharge part. But you know what? I asked them if they had heard Struck by Lightning from Ohio, who I've mentioned a couple episodes ago, because it sort of reminds me of that. A lot of D-beat parts, and it'd be like, and they go to like, the drummer goes to the toms and then hits the crash accent. I love that kind of shit. But one of the best bands I've seen in a long time, definitely one of the more noteworthy current metal bands out there. So shout out to those guys. Very, very nice guys. Yeah, we were just talking about how much we love working with $20 Spin, and you know, David from Street Tombs has been seeing me play, I guess, as far back as like 2012 with my old band. It's just a small world, man. And that's why you have to be cool. Yeah, not cool, but you got to be nice to people, because it's a very, very small world that we're in. But that band, check them out, man. Street Tombs. They're on Carbonized Records, which is owned and operated by Chad from Necrot, the drummer of Necrot. So again, super small world. Bat was up next. I'm going to talk about their new album, so I won't talk about them too much, but they ripped. So the metal show is inside at Mohawk, which is tiny. And outside was some like indie pop bullshit band that is like a one hit TikTok song or something, maybe in like a Netflix show. I don't know. I checked them out. I like some of that stuff, but I don't know why anybody would like get excited about going and seeing the band that was playing outside. But there were a bunch of like normies on the outside stage, and the metal folks were like it was like two worlds colliding, and it was cool. I love watching normies like sort of like wander into a metal show and just like be freaked out. I love it. But there was a guy like up in the shit. If you watch the Necrot interview or the little teaser thing that we posted, you see like some dude in the pit spilling beer everywhere, and you see this guy's reaction. He's got like a gold chain on. So that dude was like in the fucking pit the whole time. He had come over from the indie pop rock show or whatever. And Ryan from Bat sort of like singled him out, but in a cool way. I told him after the show, I was like, dude, winning hearts and minds. Like he's made the guy feel like he roasted him a little bit, but it made him feel included. It's kind of cool. But the guy seemed won over by the Bat set for sure. That's my first time seeing him. I've known Ryan for a long time. I've known Nikki P for a long time, but they haven't toured a whole lot. But I'm very glad I got to finally catch them. I'll save my like critique or whatever for talking about the album, because it's a fucking great album. Can't wait to talk about it. Necrot was killer, of course, incredible. It was really cool to see my old buddy Sal from Asunder doing sound for him. He was doing sound for him back when Gatecreeper toured with him and Exhumed in 2019. I hadn't seen him since then. I was not expecting him to be there. So again, small world, man. Small world. One of the biggest things I remember about that 2019 tour is he tested the PA every single night with the same song. It was a Melvin's cover of a Flipper song. War something moan, war. But that song just got like drilled into my brain because of Sal. And he was testing it with some different stuff this time around, Ron C. Pazuzu and some stuff like that. But yeah, Necrot ripped. And the sound specifically was just like dialed, massive sounding for a 3-piece. And a lot of that's attributed to Sal. I stood there and watched him work. I love watching front of house sound guys work or lighting people, But he was like fading in and out, vocal delay, not even looking at his hand while he's doing it. I love seeing people who are really good at their trade working, it's fun. So yeah, great show. I highly, highly recommend catching a date of the Necrot Lifeless Birth tour. I was wanting to either go to Houston or San Antonio as well, but fucking back disc issue flare-ups prevented that from happening. But please go see this tour. It's great. If you like metal, it's got something for everybody. And check out Street Tombs, man, my new favorite band. So, album of discussion, Bat, Under the Crooked Claw, out on Nuclear Blast as we speak. This, as I said, features Ryan Waste and Nikki P from Municipal Waste, and Chris Marshall on drums. Definite serious power trio in the grand tradition of power trios, and the key word being powerful. I liked it a lot live, and the record surprised me as to how much I love it. I was digging it live for sure, but the record is like, I have to say, like a lot better than I was expecting. It's got a lot more depth, and the guitar riffs even have like a little bit of melancholy and emotional depth in them here and there that sort of took me by surprise, you know. So this is for fans of new wave of British heavy metal, punky proto thrash, Motorhead, Tank, stuff like that would be the obvious touchstone. If you like Midnight, you'll probably like it. I think it's a little bit more melodic than Midnight. If you like Diamond Head, the first Diamond Head album, it reminded me of that a little bit. I was picking up on stuff that I haven't gotten the same vibe since the third Annihilation Time record. It's been a long time since that came out. I can't remember what year it came out. But, you know, Annihilation Time started sort of 80% hardcore punk, 20% metal, old school metal, almost like classic hard rock. And then on the second album, they sort of shifted to like 60-40, old school hardcore, 40% like, classic metal. And then I think the third album, it was almost like 50-50. Really glorious guitar stuff, you know, but aggressive. And the Bat record has that. I think my favorite songs, you know, they have the intro to the album is like synth-based horror sounding thing, and it was composed and performed by Fabio Frizzi, who scored all the old Fulci movies and stuff. So that's great. Every song is good. The ones that super stood out to me, Just Buried on the A side is incredible, and Final Strike, the last song of the album. Bat from Richmond, Virginia, Under the Crooked Claw, out now on Nuclear Blast. Please go grab it because it's awesome, and we need more bands with this kind of big riff energy. And we need more power trio, you know? Necrot, all-time power trio. Bat, I'll start talking about them that way too. I mentioned Midnight, you know. There's some out there, but it's the power trio is a heavy metal art form that is underappreciated, for sure. Let's go to some fan emails. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the last fan email that I talk about on this podcast is going to be the winner of our contest. So if you are just like dying to hear that, you can fast forward. But you would miss our first official trip into the Vault of Insane Stories, which is this first email here. This is from Marcus. Hey, Nate. I'm probably too late to jump on the giveaway. Been out in Yellowstone looking at bison and not my stupid cell phone, but thought I'd take a swing anyway. Also, has anyone followed up about that Mel Gibson story yet? I lived in LA for a decade and worked in the film and TV industry. I heard some wild ass stories about him. Public controversies aside, he's been one of my favorite actors since I was a little kid seeing Road Warrior for the first time. And I'm curious to hear a positive experience with him, especially considering how tainted by fake assholes LA really is. Keep on big riffing. And it really is, guys. That's a cliche and a stereotype and a generalization, but it really is. I'm going to go off on a little rant after I tell this story, but I'm just going to tell the story of hanging with Mel Gibson for a half day in Malibu, just as it happened. So here we go, guys. First official trip into
The Vault of Insane Stories.
Okay, the year is 2011. August, September, October 2011, somewhere around there. I'm sleeping on a couch with a couple of buddies in Santa Monica. You know, it's funny. My wife and I, just the other day, we were watching Donnie Darko, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. Our boy Joe Bob Briggs was showing it. And I never realized that when Donnie takes his girlfriend to go see The Evil Dead, the theater in the movie, they're supposed to be on the East Coast, I think. But in real life, the location they're shooting at is the Arrow Theater. I'll put that shot up. And, dude, I just about jumped out of my skin because I had just been talking about living around the corner from the Arrow Theater. where I met John Carpenter and saw that shot, and I was like, holy shit. I just never I watched Donnie Darko when I was like 15 or something. Just never realized that. So we're right around the corner from the Aero Theater. I'm sleeping on a couch. I'm in some serious Jack Kerouac, Charles Bukowski phase of my life. And I am spending every day, like my job at the time is driving up the Pacific Coast Highway from Santa Monica to Malibu and going up the mountain and helping this child of a billionaire build a recording studio in what I think technically was his dad's house, overlooking the ocean on top of a cliff in Malibu. And the kid who I was helping build the studio is one of the top 5 worst people that I've ever encountered in my life. His dad was actually kind of cool. His dad had all the money. His dad was like an old school dude from Israel. I'm not quite sure what he did. I think he's probably in finance or something. But I actually I had a good time hanging out with this fool's dad because I feel like this guy worked for and earned everything he had, and his kid just was a fucking affluenza, complete empty shell with no soul in it, just a fucking alien scumbag. He was actually cool to me, but just seeing the way he treated other people was just like, yeah, he ended up getting, I didn't do this, and I'm serious, I didn't do this, but somebody, after I moved back to Phoenix, went in the studio and stole everything. And I think I know who it was, and it makes me so happy because this guy was such a piece of shit, the way he treated people and stuff. And I remember seeing on Facebook his little bullshit nothing ass studio Facebook page. He was like, list of gear that was stolen, and it was like tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of shit that somebody made off with. And we'll get into a later question where I give my thoughts on stealing from people, but I would say this is a justified instance for sure. But all that aside, me and this other kid are sort of the grunts. Just, this dumbass we were working for, he was so out of it, like all day, constant weed smoker, and also just a complete dumbass, just naturally. Most of the time, we'd just be sitting up there doing nothing. Honestly, I would get up, drive up to PCH, get there, just hang out, looking at the ocean, Every once in a while, he would come up with some dumb shit for us to do or a question or whatever. So I'm doing this for a little while, and one day we're out in the driveway, and it's like sort of a scene at this house. I mean, we're building the studio in the garage, and there's like people coming in and out, and there's like construction site, not like full blown construction site, but there's just like shit laying everywhere. So it's noticeable that there's something happening. And the boss is in the garage, and me and this other dude, this other gopher, or whatever, we're on the driveway, and there's these 2 guys coming down the street walking, and they've got on like ratty ass clothes, shorts, just like looked like they've had the same like running shorts for 30 years, and clothes have like holes in them, and they look borderline homeless. But the air about them wasn't like a homeless vibe. It was like maybe they sort of belonged in the area, They just like carried themselves a certain way, but the clothes didn't quite match the vibe of like multi-million-dollar properties in Malibu. But they're coming down the street. They get closer. I start to realize they're like these 2 guys in these ratty ass Escape from New York looking clothes are like not covered, but like splattered head to toe in yellow paint. And we're like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, have these guys been playing paintball or like, yeah, just like total ratty, homeless looking shit covered, like somebody just blasting them with like a power washer of like yellow paint, Man, this is weird. And one of them looks down the driveway and is like, what the hell's going on down there? They're like, wow, okay, this is strange. So they're like walking down the driveway at us, and we're not sure if these dudes are going to like bust up in there. It was just weird. It was a weird vibe. And so I'm headed up the driveway to meet these two guys before they can go in there and cause a scene or whatever the hell they're going to do. And I'm like, oh, we're building a studio, you know, and we're kind of talking to each other as we approach. And the guy in the front and I get up right next to each other. I'm barely paying attention to his face because I'm more like distracted by the attire and the fucking yellow neon pink splatters. And I reach out my hand. He reaches out his hand. I shake his hand. He's got a real legitimate fucking man hand. I'm like, damn it. Like my first thing was like, this doesn't feel like a Malibu hand. This feels like the hand of a guy that's like worked a lot. And I had introduced myself. Hey, I'm Nate. And my eyes go from our hands up to the dude's face, he says, hi, I'm Mel. And I'm looking at Mel Gibson. And it was weird, man. When I didn't get like, I'm looking at Mad Max. I'm looking at the dude from Lethal Weapon. I'm looking at William Wallace from Braveheart. Even Signs, man. I like Signs. Even now he's making good movies. Dragged Across Concrete. It's a little old now, but the dude's an icon. And I'm just like, holy shit, that's Mel Gibson. All right, cool. And we start rapping and shit. Like, and the guy's vibe was that he had known me his whole life. That was his vibe. And that's not the vibe you get from most people in LA, specifically like a place like Malibu or Santa Monica where I was living. Hollywood and certain places, Van Nuys and spots like that are cool, but people in Malibu don't treat you that way. And I was just like, I was equally shocked at the way he was acting. That was just as shocking as realizing I'm shaking hands with Mel Gibson, right? So he hung out. He just like hung out with us for a few hours and checked out what we were doing. And we went out back and sat and looked at the ocean and was just, I think he was telling some stories about Passion of the Christ and like a project that he had coming up. I can't remember what he was working on, but my biggest takeaway was just how, first of all, looking in his eyes, how excited he seemed about life. He just had like a light behind his eyes. And this is going to be a little bit corny, but it's all going to make sense once I go on my little rant or whatever. But he just seemed genuinely happy to be talking to us and happy to be hanging out with us and happy to be doing whatever he was doing. And it was like contagious. It was just a very, very positive energy. You know, I have told this story a lot and I have seen people bristle at this story. All I can talk about is like, this is a fun story to tell. I like telling stories, hence the Vault of Insane Stories, right? So I'm not trying to get too philosophical or spiritual with this, but of course I probably will. All I can say is my experience with him. I could lie to you and say, oh yeah, he was acting like a racist, anti-Semite asshole. But he wasn't. He wasn't. And I'm not fucking with his anonymity here because I did a little search just to make sure. He's very outspoken about being sober. And if he's still sober, I think he has like 14 years or something. But I did the math and I was like, oh shit, I met him like within the first year or two of him getting sober. I know that getting sober changed my life completely, right? And I have told this story about Mel Gibson to people and how he was one of the only people when I lived in LA that was super genuinely cool to me and that treated me like a human being. And some people get mad because he has some highly publicized, unflattering behaviors from the past, right? But this is why, to me, it's so important to allow space for forgiveness and allow space for people to change and allow the possibility that people will want to fix problematic things within themselves. Because if you're listening to this, I can almost guarantee you that if you were judged publicly, like by the whole fucking world, on the darkest, most pathetic, most disgusting, pitiful, maybe you're not a violent person, but maybe you just, when you're like in a hard time, it's just pitiful. If you were judged publicly by that, that's not a good look, because you're a human being, and human beings are flawed, like deeply flawed, a lot of us. I know, speaking for myself, I was never violent towards women or abusive or hateful towards women or anything like that. I was never yelling about the Jews or yelling racial slurs or anything like that. But I was super violent towards other men. I choked a guy one time until I thought he was dead. I was super violent towards myself. I was super hateful. It was just ugly. Alcoholism's a real thing, and when you're in the deep, dark bottom throes of it, like, it would suck to be publicly judged by the whole world on that. And a huge part of recovery is like allowing for forgiveness and patience and tolerance and empathy, and allowing people the possibility to change and improve and become kinder and stuff like that. So, God damn it, I made the cool Mel Gibson story as melodramatic and corny as possible. But hey, that's our first trip into
The Vault of Insane Stories,
starring Mel Gibson. So that's a fun story. I like telling that one. And thank you, Marcus, for giving me the opportunity to tell that story, because that's one of my favorites. Bizarre, man. Hey, I'm Mel. Tony, I made my last trip to Astro last week before Lippy closed shop on the 10th. I'm going to miss having that store. Hope the bookstore dude makes something decent of the space. Yeah, it sucks, man. Astro closing down. I wanted to go see Lippy so bad, but yeah, disc issues been kind of crippling past few days. Good now, but it's too late. I need to text that guy. Astro Record Store is legitimately one of my top 5 record stores ever. So we're sorry to see him go, man. You mentioned liking Mean Mistreater, I think. I'm probably going to this show June 20th. Mean Mistreater at Little Darlin, 7 p.m. Yeah, I think I saw them at the Necrot gig, and they're fun, man. I like them a lot. Yeah. So go see Mean Mistreater if you're in the Austin area on June 20th. What else? Lamb of God and Mastodon are playing at the Circuit of the Americas on July 20th, and I'm on the fence. Not really a big fan of Lamb of God, and I've seen Mastodon a dozen times. Cheers, Tony. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be making that, man. Circuit of the Americas, July 20th. That is going to be hellacious outside. So probably going to pass on that. But Mike Fury, Spirit Adrift drummer, hit me up the other day and asked if I want to go see Priest in October at the Circuit of the Americas. And, it's hard to get me out of the house, especially for bigger shows and shit. Like, I'm just not interested, guys. But when I thought about seeing Priest with Mike Fury, if any of you know Mike Fury, you can imagine, especially in October. The last time I saw Priest was 2004. And it was a Painkiller lineup. So I've seen that. But you know what? Their last record is one of my favorite records they've ever made. And it's got some of the best guitar stuff I've heard ever, I have to say. That might seem like hyperbole, but it's really not. So, Mike and I have seen Iron Maiden together. We've seen Metallica together, having sort of played with them, which is still fucking insane. So now we can say that we've seen Judas Priest together. And I guess those are the three, to me, those are the 3 biggest metal bands. You'd probably put Slayer up there, but yeah. But I won't be at the Lamb of God one, July 20th. Fuck that. Okay, a couple more emails here, and then I'm going to announce the contest winner. Jim from Long Island. Hey, Nate, I'm Jim from Long Island. Congratulations on reaching 5,000 subscribers. I look forward to your podcast every week. Even though I outdate you by a good 20 years, parentheses, my first metal show was Ozzy Joe Perry, Def Leppard in the summer of 81. That's sick. 81. What was Def Leppard on? High and Dry? I'm still a little bit of a Def Leppard novice. I like the first three, High and Dry. And I love the production of Hysteria. Yeah, dude, High and Dry. Fuck. That's one of my favorite records, brother. I was listening to High and Dry a lot when I was working on Enlightened Eternity. And you know what? What was Ozzy on? Diary of Madman? I was listening to a lot of that too. That's crazy. That show is like crazy, bro. Anyway, our tastes, both new and old, are very similar. Big Riff energy spans many genres. I've learned about some great bands through the podcast as well. Mallow Carpatton, Witch Hazel, Sovereign, and Charlie Crockett, just to name a few. Hey, bud, if you like that Sovereign record, I just got a sneak peek at an upcoming record by a band, Laceration. It's coming out later this year on $20 Spin. There's one song out right now. Go check out Laceration if you like Sovereign, because it's like scratches the same itch. They're their own thing for sure. But yeah, if you like Laceration, go check out Sovereign. Or vice versa. If you like Sovereign, go check out Laceration right now. Spirit Adrift came across my radar after seeing Curse of Conception near the top of the Decibel year-end list the year it came out. Been a huge fan ever since and own a copy of all the releases except Behind Beyond. That's why if I was lucky enough to be picked for the 5K subscriber prize, I think it would be cool to split it and send the Spirit vinyls to a second winner. Just a suggestion. Spread the wealth. Dude, that's awesome. I love your attitude there. I look forward to new podcasts and new music, both Spirit Adrift and the new project you've been teasing. P.S. I saw the Resin album is in the prize pack and was wondering if you guys listen to King Buffalo at all. I know they've toured with Resin a bit, saw them open for Clutch a few years ago and have been addicted to them ever since. So there's a Lord Buffalo and a King Buffalo, and I get them mixed up. But if King Buffalo is the one I'm thinking of, we played same stage as them at Hellfest in France. And so our bass player, Sonny, loves to, like, if we get announced on a tour or a fest or something and there's bands he's not super familiar with, he'll like listen to all of them. He's a lot less jaded than I am. He's still got like the inner excited kid a lot more than me, I guess. But I remember talking about King Buffalo and how great they are. Really good band. Yeah, they're like a exceptional band in that style of music. So they're great. I'm sorry, I'm missing somebody's name here. I think it's T Baggins, which is like a play on this guy's real name. T Baggins is somehow like a correlation to this dude's real legal name. Congrats on 5K, man. I look forward to your podcast every week just to hear some real insight into the music I love. I'm from Arkansas, so it's cool to hear all your stories about the scene, even though I live more northeast in Independence County. I've gotten to see Spirit Adrift twice in the last couple years, once at Whitewater and the other time at the Rev Room. Both times I made sure to be front and center for the riffs. Your music never fails to uplift me, and that's something I need more and more these days. Thank you, man. I love playing Arkansas. I was just talking to somebody about, Sonny from Necrot playing Albuquerque. He said it was like tons of people out there. And I was like, the mayor of Albuquerque is a metalhead. He always goes to see Max Cavalera and different people that come through. They take pictures on the tour bus and shit. But I asked Sonny, was the mayor there? And he was like, yeah, me, because he came up in Albuquerque. So it's like a big homecoming for him. And I feel the same way about Arkansas. Technically I grew up in Oklahoma. I didn't wind up going to Arkansas until I was 18. But as far as like music, cutting my teeth, touring, recording, all that, like Arkansas is my home for sure. And every time we come through, it's a great time. Some of you might have been there the one time when, this is a good story. I wasn't planning on telling this, but I'll tell a brief version of it. One time when we showed up at Arkansas, we got booked at this shithole. It was like a last resort venue. Everybody in Fayetteville knows what it is, and it fucking sucks to play there, and it's just always some bullshit. But the sound guy that night, who was also tending bar at the same time, was this fucking douchebag wannabe frat boy dude who I had worked with in a kitchen. I was in the dish pit and he was a server. I don't even know what made me think of this, just playing Arkansas, I guess. But the second that we came in through the door on this Spirit Adrift tour, I could tell it was just, there was some jealousy, there was some resentment that here he is still fucking lugging dish rags around and shit. And, you know, I'm touring and stuff. And I don't fucking act any kind of way. I'm no better than anybody, dude. I've ruined my hands and fucking cleaning hot pots and pans with steel wool and shit. I've done it all. And I'm still not different than a dude digging a ditch. It's fucking work. It's work. That's what it is. No different. But sometimes you get resentment from weird people that you don't even barely fucking know or whatever. But I know some of y'all were at this show. The second I walked in this door, this guy was talking about, he was all Xanaxed out and shit, talking about how he's going to stab me and this and that, and just being very strange. So that was the one weird experience playing Arkansas. Some of you saw me, basically threaten this dude's life in the middle of our set. And there was just cause. It seemed sort of left field, I think, to some of the people there at the time, but the guy earned it like big time. But even that show, man, it was like a family reunion. So I love playing Arkansas. And Hastings, that's this guy's real first name. Fuck yourself, dude. You suck. And you tried to ruin that show and you couldn't. Fuck you. You suck. All right, Colin Hastings. The guy's, I want to say his last name because he's got the douchiest trust fund rich white kid name you ever fucking heard in your life. It sounds like a made up like character from a Danny McBride show or something. All right. I get, does that qualify as a Vault of Insane Stories trip? Who knows? Colin, right? Shit, hang on. Yeah, Colin with a K. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give it away. Colin, you're our winner. And sorry if anyone else is disappointed who wrote in. What I was going to do is take everybody's emails, put it in a random number generator, and then pick somebody at random. But Colin, when I came across your email, assuming this is all true, which I'm going to go ahead and have faith that it's all true, and even if it's not, you're good enough at making up a story that you deserve to win anyway. I think the rest of you will agree that Colin needs to win the prize once I'm through with this. What's up, Nate? Hopefully I'm the lucky winner. If not, that's cool too. I just want to submit my entry and hopefully start my vinyl collection again. I got a lot of my stuff jacked during the pandemic. Most missed would be my work tools and sadly my vinyl and CD collection. Since then, I haven't had the motivation to start up again. Notable vinyl I once had were Dissection, Storm of the Lights, Bane, both light blue and black vinyl. That one's kind of hard to find. I have the Nuclear War Now repress that came out, last year. I don't know if he repressed it, but he's distributing it. Rod and Christ, Triarchy of the Lost Lovers, and my favorite, Thy Mighty Contract on Osmos Productions. Dismembered Like an Ever-Flowing Stream, original black press. Guys, Death Symbolic. These are not easy records to find. I placed a fucking indie merch store order for Death Symbolic 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They said it was in stock. And it ain't in stock. But I don't want to cancel it because I guess it's like shit-ass Roadrunner is still... they're terrible with represses, man. Just terrible. But yeah, if it gets repressed, I want my order to still be in there, so I'll get it. Okay. Oh man, just writing this was painful. These were 6 of about 60 total that are hopefully somewhere safe, I like to think. Anyways, I work in a tire and lube shop, so we jam a lot of country, rock, and Spirit Adrift. For some reason, my coworkers can't remember the band name, but I know what Play That One Band means. I broke them in with Enlightening Eternity, my personal favorite. Keep the riffs coming and just know that if somehow these records make it my way, you'd be responsible for reigniting my love for collecting again. They will be much appreciated and well kept. For now, keep up the awesome work. Your advice and insight align heavily with my values, and I look forward to these videos. Congratulations, Colin. You're the winner. Have you seen the show Tires on Netflix, by the way? It's Shane Gillis. Hilarious. Dude, we blew through it. It's only 6 episodes, and brother, I don't know if you have Netflix, but working in a tire shop, like, you need to see the show Tires. It's really fun. And I'm glad I just talked about my old shithead coworker working in a dish pit, and he was a server, so he's like way up higher on the food chain than me. But working in a tire shop, something like that, working in a dish pit, digging ditches, cutting down trees, landscaping, being a server. These, to me, are the most admirable jobs in the world. Doctors, nurses, stuff like that. And there's too many people who haven't worked these kind of jobs, and they have no empathy for the reality of life for the average fucking person. So thank you, Colin, for doing what you do, man. It's important. It's a whole lot more important than fucking some intellectual preaching bullshit on the news, some pseudo intellectual, some fucking suit and tie. I would argue that a dude working in a tire shop is a more important position in my world than Speaker of the House, President of the United States, bullshit fucking ceremonial positions that don't mean jack shit. You know what means something? Changing somebody's tire for them, giving somebody an oil change so that they can go pick their kids up from school or go to work. That actually makes a difference in the world. So thank you. And check out the show Tires. So yeah, dude, you're going to win. Box A is a bunch of shit that came out last year and this year. The Resin album that we spoke about earlier. Crip Sermon, brand new album. Going to be on a lot of people's year-end list for sure. Great album. Zompantly, great death metal album. Death Doom, made by some indigenous, I guess you'd say Latino folks. I hope that's the correct non-offensive way to say it. Box number 2, Spirit Adrift stuff. What's in there? Curse, Forge Your Future, Ghosts at the Gallows. And I have like personal copies of stuff. I try to get as many of the different pressings as I can. For most of them, I have like all of them or close to all of them. I don't have any like extra copies of Enlightened laying around. But since you said it's your favorite Spirit Adrift album, I put in one of my personal copies as well. Thanks again, man. I made fun of my old shithead. I hesitate to call him a boss. Let's call him a complete fucking moron whose house I was hanging out at. Let's call him that. I made fun of him because he got like tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of shit stolen from him. And I think that's great. But stealing from a working class person is about the worst fucking thing you can do. So I'm sorry that happened to you. Stealing from, working class bands. Listen, if you're walking out of Walmart with stuff, fuck them. Who cares? All these, Luca said it in the last episode. All these fucking corporations made more money than they ever have, while the rest of us were left to fucking die. What'd they give us? Fucking $1,400. Good luck. Yeah, that's gonna help a lot. Thank you. So yeah, if you're walking out of Walmart or you're, I don't know, robbing a bank, I don't even give a shit if you rob a bank, to be honest. They have insurance. Or if you're stealing $100,000 worth of microphones from some absolute scum of the earth, inhuman, affluenza infected piece of shit whose dad has a limitless supply of money and he's paying for shit anyway, good for you. But don't steal from fucking working class people or working class bands. Colin, I'm going to email you back, get your address, and send you all this shit. And thanks to everybody that wrote in and entered into the contest. I'll be doing more of that kind of stuff for sure. I might even give away a guitar or something at 10K. We'll see what happens, man. And yeah, send me more questions that'll send us down the vault of insane stories, because that's fun. I hate answering the same old bullshit about recording and all that kind of crap. So see ya. Oh yeah, next episode I think might be a remarkable one, so stay tuned for that. Write me at bigriffenergy@gmail.com. Subscribe, do all that stuff. Oh, god damn, I started an Instagram page for this podcast. You can follow it if you want to. The handle is Born2Nate, the same handle as this YouTube page. Please don't make me regret it. All right, see you next episode.
Riff.